Hey, it's Fox from Inferno Fox Gaming. Today we are talking about video game hot takes, but not mine, yours. So a couple months ago, I'd hit the 1,000 subscriber mark, of which I'm very thankful to each and every one of you guys that have subscribed. And if you haven't, make sure while you're here to like this video, click subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. And normally around the 1,000 subscriber milestone, some excellent YouTubers that I've seen have done Q&A sessions where we've taken questions from you, the audience, and we have brought our own various opinions to them. That's always a lot of fun, but I figured I'd wanted to do a little bit of a twist. And instead of doing a Q&A, I wanted to get your hot takes and have myself react to them. And it's on 3 topics: RPGs, retro gaming, and Nintendo. I am randomly drawing a fantastic prize for one of these individuals whom have given a hot take. We're going to do that giveaway at the end of this, but jumping right in, I want to do this alphabetically by the usernames. And this first one is from my buddy Jay at ColdNightsGaming. It was one that he messaged me directly. He said, Final Fantasy VII, Avalanche. They weren't good guys. Whether or not their mission was honorable, they were terrorists, hurt innocent people, and killed countless hundreds or thousands of Shinra soldiers and employees who were just trying to make a living. So this definitely is a hot take, although the sort of there's like plausible deniability that like Morpheus in The Matrix had given, to where if you're connected to the system, you're still the enemy. And the idea that those that are still part of the system, in this instance, Shinra, they are the enemy. The idea that Jaya here is saying is that the ends do not justify the means. And I feel like Final Fantasy VII Remake sort of did a cop-out here where, oh, the good guys really are the good guys, because it shows that when they blow up the reactor, the bomb wasn't strong enough to actually blow up the reactor. It was Shinra themselves that blew up the reactor so that Avalanche could be sort of that scapegoat. But in the OG, that was not the case. It was that particular bomb that blew it up, and that they were truly the enemy. And to that end, on the remake end, it really was, okay, Avalanche is this greater organization, and the ones in Shinra are an offshoot, and perhaps that larger organization of Avalanche are actual like bad guys, and it's part of this additional, oh, the good guys really are good guys, and it's kind of whitewashing or sane-washing the actual heroes, Barrett, Cloud, Tifa. Getting back to the main issue, I definitely see where ColdNightsGaming is coming from. And he's not wrong. They are terrorists, but at the same time, the actual organization Shinra themselves, in Final Fantasy VII, the OG is an allegory for late-stage capitalism being the enemy, and that Avalanche themselves is trying to pull them away from it. You have 2 opposing sides on this overall dichotomy, and it's something that, I mean, you got to pick a side. Do you want to support the late-stage capitalistic and be comfortable but have the planet end, or do you want the actual Avalanche themselves to win and have the whole system crumble and have hundreds of thousands of people die but the planet be saved? Or do you want the middle option, Sephiroth become a god and everybody die anyway? So it's almost a lose-lose-lose scenario. That's a great hot take. Next up, we have the fantastic David Vinc, or David Vincent. Just like ColdNightsGaming, I love David Vincent's channel, and he himself has really motivated me to do my own channel here. And he said, I think you and the entire world apparently saw my hot take, LOL. And his hot take that he posted on his own channel, really spicy, so spicy that I couldn't capture it when I was trying to put together this video. And I believe it was something about him getting just tired of the overall, these Persona games being based in high school. And I get that, and I think I read somewhere that Persona 6 is also going to be another high school game, and I understand where he's coming from, and honestly, as an older individual myself, again, I'm old, I've been playing video games since the mid 80s to late 80s, that's when I first started, and I know davidvinc is right there with me. We kind of get tired of always this high school drama. We want to play an RPG game where, okay, it's adults with adult problems. That's what makes games like Clair Obscur, Expedition 33 so great. All the characters are adults, save, of course, Maie. Yeah, I mean, you kind of know what you're getting with a Persona game. You're going to get the high school drama. I mean, if you can tolerate that, it's often high school drama. It's like a veneer that's being covered over real adult issues, because the reality is, again, davidvinc and we grew up with the likes of The Breakfast Club. These are 5 kids, but they're dealing with really almost adult-like issues. You've got unaliving yourself, you've got being forced to win, you've got competitiveness, you've got this veneer of beauty that is just literally that, and all these individuals are people underneath, and that's really what Persona's about. And especially games like Persona 3 and Persona 5. Can't say Persona 4 because I haven't played it yet. I'm waiting for the Persona 4 remake on that, but it's absolutely a good point, and I see where he's coming from, and I'm thankful for games like Clair Obscur and even Trails into Daybreak, where the main character is 24 years old. Although I really don't appreciate him being called an old fart when he's 24 years old, and the other character calling him an old fart is 20, and it's like, okay, come on now. But I digress. Great hot take. The next hot take here is from evilblanketfish, where he says, I hate giant towns. Spending 30 minutes walking around looking for shops and talking to people with useless dialogue just in case if there's a side quest hidden in someone is a waste of my damn time. I think I that's why I like the Trails series, because if there's a side quest, especially the later Trails games, it's indicated by a green triangle, and you know that that's the case. And all of the world building that really does come from these NPCs, and the Trails series mostly names all of the individuals in the towns, to where even you return to said town in a later game and you recognize the name and the character. It's kind of a cool part of it, but you don't have to do that. Whereas games like old school Dragon Quest games have stuff like this, where there might be a side quest or something, but you won't know unless you take the time to explore. I mean, there's the whole world building aspect, so I get that. I think Dragon Quest XI had the really large town, if memory serves me right, and that was really a victim of that. It's all about whether or not you want to take the time and world build and get that background. That's what's pretty cool. But yeah, that's a good hot take, and one that I know other games have done a really good job of really avoiding that particular issue. Okay, next hot take is from FakePearBear. Really nice guy who I've had some really good interactions with on Twitter or X or whatever. This is a spicy one, so gird your loins, my friends. Kingdom Hearts series has some of the worst real-time combat in RPG history. That's a hot take. That's quite the take. I don't agree with it, because I've played some other RPGs that have had some of the really awful real-time combat, like action RPG combat. I mean, right off the top of my head, I'm thinking of Super Nintendo's Lagoon, like the one guy with the really awful little twerpy sword that he uses to hit enemies. Stuff like Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2, and obviously their remasters and whatnot, have been really solid, excellent action combat. So I really can't get behind this. Even some of the derpier ones like Kingdom Hearts 358/2 or whatever the heck that is on the DS, even that's pretty okay. The worst Kingdom Hearts game for me is Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance. I tried playing that on the 3DS. It was awful. I even tried to play I think it was on the PS4, still couldn't get into it, but it wasn't a victim of the combat. It was the actual like mechanics of it and having creatures and everything like that. And just the idea that, okay, I kind of get tired of going back to the beginning and losing all of your stuff and starting from scratch. I mean, you'd think that I would be totally used to that, being a big Metroid fan, but sorry, Fake, I can't get behind that. I don't agree. I really like Kingdom Hearts. Combat, different levels. I mean, Kingdom Hearts for the Game Boy Advance, Chain of Memories, that wasn't great, but the PS2 and then obviously other future remasters were better, but I can't get behind that. Next up, FeralInferno. He's got a great YouTube channel, and I've done a number of collabs with him. A really great guy. Always enjoy working with him. If you haven't already, check out his channel for some excellent, not only where he shows off some of his collection and pickups, but also some great live gameplay of some classic and newer games. He's got the OG Final Fantasy VII is a way better experience than Final Fantasy VII Remake. 100% agree. Full stop. The next hot take, no, going back to that, like, so I have played Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, and I like Rebirth better than Remake, and I've really grown to like action RPGs, but I still think if they were going to do an actual remake rather than some Nomura Bojazz, it should have been a remake taking the actual active time battle system. They lost a lot of people by moving to the action RPG combat and not the turn-based. I know anecdotally, not only just Feral, but like Hardicus from the Inferno cast had said he's not going to play Remake because it's an action-based game and it's not turn-based or active time battle like the OG. So Feral, even though I've played through Remake and Rebirth, 100% agree with you. Next up is joeeatsgames. He's also kind of like me, got a smaller channel, but we have a lot of fun. He's got some great content. So and again, if I mention these guys, I'm going to make sure to put their YouTube channels in the description below, so make sure you check them out. Joe says, the only reason people are mad at the new Switch 2 prices is because they're finally comparable to the other systems. For some reason, we expect Nintendo to be cheap even though we enjoy them the most. His take is assuming that we enjoy Nintendo games the most, being more than PlayStation and more than Xbox and more than PC. That's kind of a bridge. I think that's a bridge a little too far, because I know a lot of people like Simbu on the Inferno cast that enjoys Nintendo games the least, just out of principle, because it's not a PlayStation game. But that said, there are individuals that are PC gamers and they won't touch Nintendo. PlayStation gamers, besides Simbu, won't touch Nintendo. So beyond that, if we look at it organically, now that Nintendo's $450, the Switch 2, we compare that to the PS5, which right now currently in the US is $500, and the Xbox Series X, which we just had, as of the recording of this recent price increase, where I think that's $600 now or something like that. Now it's comparable, but like the Steam Deck is like $400. So it's around the same level, except of course, instead of the Switch 2 being able to play all the Switch 1 and 2 games, the Steam Deck can play the entire Steam library within reason and compatibility and all that. I don't really know if I agree with that. I'm not about to stan Nintendo and put them on a pedestal, even though, I mean, look at my collection. You see a bunch of Nintendo games and Nintendo crap around me. It's because I like the characters, I like the games, but Nintendo has done some really crappy decisions that have hurt consumers. So I'm not aligned to that, but I do like the overall properties. I mean, but it's like Sony has made those decisions. Microsoft has made those decisions. Valve really hasn't made a lot of those decisions. If you guys know some crappy decisions that have not been consumer friendly that Valve has made, let me know in the comments section below. But that's a really good hot take. Now, Mad Kaiser, another great YouTuber. I really enjoy his content. His hot take, my hot take, is that sublinear / open zones, your Final Fantasy 12, Dragon Quest XI, Tales of Arise, Visions of Mana, and even segmented levels in Grand Blue Fantasy Relink stomp all over any open worlds or fully linear hallway games. So instead, so I take it that he's saying instead of fully linear, like the hallway that is Final Fantasy 13, and totally open world, like something like Skyrim or Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom, these midway points just absolutely beat either direction. And this is a thing where it's like an old commercial. Why not both? I enjoy a lot of experiences that are fully linear, like the first half of Final Fantasy VI or Final Fantasy IV, as well as the totally open world, like the Skyrim and Breath of the Wild, and then obviously all the mid, sort of like the happy mediums that he mentioned. Caveat that I haven't played Visions of Mana or Grand Blue Fantasy Relink yet. So I think it's just a thing that's down to personal preference. I absolutely respect Mad Kaiser's view on it, and definitely love all of his content that he's made that has featured a number of these games. Next up, we've got Millis86. This is my buddy Matt. He had stated, having just finished both games, the Lunar games have to be one best retro RPG series I've played. I did not expect to enjoy them so much when I began playing them. They are simple but very addictive, and I really enjoyed my entire playthrough. Oh my god, my backlog is crying. I picked up the Lunar remakes because I'm an idiot. I'm going to mention, in preface, I'm an idiot and picked up the physical to both the Switch and the PS4. I so want to play these, but like I'm in the middle of Trails into Daybreak, and I just finished Clair Obscur, and as of the recording of this video, I'm about to jump into the Switch 2, the Mario Kart World, because again, I'm picking up the Switch 2. A really big reason I'm picking up the Switch 2 is because my current Switch, my OLED one, is doing that annoying thing where the rail is pulling off the Joy-Cons, even without pulling them off. And a lot of games like Trails, it doesn't run right when one pulls off and the other is still locked in, and that's a whole issue. And I've got a nick on the bottom from the Switch having dropped on the ground at one point. So I'm almost at a point where it's a necessity that I need a new system, and the timing for the Switch 2 is perfect. And let's be honest, I'm excited for some of the Switch 2 games and some of the improvements of the Switch 1 games, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I'm looking at you. But yeah, so I want to play Lunar. I'm really looking forward to it, especially having a more old school sort of 30 to 40 hour game experience. And Matt, I'm really glad that you have enjoyed your time with the Lunar games. Super excited to talk to you in person about them too. Next up, we've got Ocarinapro, and he says, well, my general go-to hot take is that Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is the best Zelda game. You know, I think this is all part of a lot of individuals that really feel Majora's Mask is that cult favorite of them. I can see where that's coming from. A lot of individuals have said that now it's either Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask for the Nintendo 64. So him liking Majora's Mask as the best, when it's funny, his name is Ocarinapro, is really interesting, but I don't think it's all that hot or spicy. And even though Majora's Mask probably wouldn't crack my top 10 for the Zelda games, and maybe it would be number 10, you cannot deny what Majora's Mask did, and especially how quick Nintendo turned it around, even though using a lot of Ocarina of Time assets. You can't deny just how different it is, and just the whole level of dread that you can feel as the timer's ticking down if you're in the middle of a task or in the middle of a dungeon and you're running. Like, that was my thing. I remember doing, I think it was the Stone Temple dungeon, and my timing on it was just really crappy, and I had 6 hours in-game time to complete it, and I'm literally like sweating, and I wanted to at least get to the boss so that I think you could, if you got the big key or something, your progress would be saved from there, and if you had to restart, you could at least fight the boss. But that was a real thing. So I don't agree. I think the best Zelda game is Ocarina of Time, because I fall into this camp, but there's no wrong opinion, except maybe if you think the CDI games are the best Zelda games. Next up, we have Reselling with John, and he says Aidyn Chronicles for this Nintendo 64 was actually a great RPG, and it often gets overlooked or not even remembered at all. The day-night cycle that actually affected combat, party member permadeath. I mean, yeah, it was Nintendo 64, but if you liked old school, difficult, grindy RPGs, this was a solid game. I am so sorry, Reselling with John. I'm part of the audience that you are speaking to on this, because I have not heard of this RPG. I'm part of the idiots that only knows Paper Mario. I think there was Ogre Battle 64 and of course Quest 64 with Brian. But I now know this. So I need to try and find this game through Shmemulation, or hope that this is going to be one of the obscure titles that gets thrown on the NSO expansion pack. I'm curious. You have piqued my curiosity, so now I'm going to look into this. Again, Aidyn Chronicles for the Nintendo 64. If you guys have heard about this, let me know in the comments section below. Up next, we have ReturnToMotherBase. Going with old reliable here. Alundra is the best Zelda game, and he drops that mic. Again, I'm going to be so bad here. I'm so sorry, ReturnToMotherBase. So I actually have not heard of Alundra, but using my old fan Wikipedia, this is part of the 5th generation PlayStation, and I slept so hard on the PlayStation 1 RPGs, which is why I'm so grateful for all of the remakes and remasters for these, like Lunar and Suikoden and everything, to where I can get an opportunity to be able to play them. That said, it's just another one that I'm going to be saving. So thank you, ReturnToMotherBase, for telling me about Alundra. Again, if you guys know about Alundra, let me know in the comments section below. For our next hot take, why do I look so different? Oh, that's because I missed just this one hot take when I filmed this video. I didn't want to miss this one because this hot take is from Futesticks, aka Lurock, really nice guy that is part of the JRPG Pursuit community on Discord. And if you haven't checked out JRPG Pursuit, it's a really fun JRPG related podcast ran by Emily from Orbalology, Brandon from Just the Gems, and Dala from Dala Games. Lurock says, congrats on 1K. Thank you so much. Earthbound is the single most hyped retro game of all time. Zio, what do you think of that? Because I really think that is quite the hot take. And poor femtrooper, I think she would probably not be happy about... Oh, wait. Yeah, she's not that happy to hear that. I don't know if it's the most overhyped retro game of all time. I think... I'd have to think about what the most overhyped retro game of all time is, but I do have to admit it, as somebody who has played Earthbound from beginning to end and think of it as a solid 7 out of 10 game, I do think it is a bit overhyped, but I understand its cultural importance insofar as being a JRPG, but set in Eagle Land, i.e., America, and just some of the ground that it tread that really wasn't seen so much back when it released. Nowadays, of course, you've got so many games that were inspired by it, like Eastward and obviously Undertale. So the importance of the game and what it means to the individuals that have played it can't be understated. But I agree with you, Lurock, in that I don't share the same hype that a lot of individuals have. Sorry, Paige. Sorry, femtrooper. But I definitely understand why people feel that way, and I appreciate it nonetheless. The next one is from Shinky Plays JRPGs. And Shinky also has a YouTube channel, and it is fantastic. If you love JRPGs like I do, definitely recommend his content. Really super nice guy that has also worked with me on other collabs, and I'm always thankful for everyone that joins me on them. Shinky says, world maps existed to give the feeling of non-linearity, but as a whole, most JRPGs still walk from point A to point B. They are no longer needed. So me being old and being old school, this immediately ticked at me like, I love the world maps and traversing on the overworld and everything like that. And to that point, a very special game to me, Star Ocean, the second story R, and it actually had an overworld. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Because I'm old and I really like traversing and walking on the world map itself. And I get where he's coming from, and I felt like the moment went between Final Fantasy 9 and 10, the latter, when it ended that sort of world map traversal, kind of felt like there was something lost there. And yeah, I know traveling in Final Fantasy 12, for example, feels even that much like broader, like more open. I feel like Final Fantasy 12 is a bit more interconnected or better connected because you could walk from one end to one portion to another. I don't really get that feeling with Final Fantasy 10 as much, but I think it's because it's sort of split off and there's a boat move you have to traverse by a boat and then this and that, I think halfway through. I can see where he's coming from, but like there's just something about that overworld map, and even something like Clair Obscura Expedition 33 has that sort of traversal, and it mixes these big areas with that the characters go to with that world map so well. So unless I totally misinterpreted what you meant by world map, which is possible, because you could even be meaning like, hey, here's just a map on a screen. You don't need that anymore. Shinky, yell at me if I was just way off base on this. Again, I'm old. I like overworld exploration, like Final Fantasies 1 through 9. Again, Star Ocean, as I mentioned. But I can kind of see where he's coming from. But yeah. Next up, we have SugarRushGames, really great supporter of the channel here. Rushdog, always appreciate you following all of the content. And he says, once the novelty has worn off, HD 2D doesn't actually look all that good. Tango Project, Wild Guns Reloaded, Pocky Rock Reshrined, etc. are much better at remastering the look of 8-bit and 16-bit classics than Square Enix. I don't know if there's one that looks better than the other. They just have their own unique aesthetics. Like Wild Guns Reloaded it does look fantastic. Pocky and Rocky Reshrined, another one. I mean, you want to talk about a stellar remake for that particular genre, but I like HD 2D games. Now, does it fit for their own unique titles like Octopath Traveler 2, Live Alive, Triangle Strategy? Yes. Should it be used for remakes? And I just realized what I did there, because Live Alive is a remake. You know, I want to play Dragon Quest 1 and 2 before I sort of make a final statement, but I enjoyed Live Alive and Dragon Quest 3, predicated on the fact that I have not played the original Live Alive for the Super Famicom at all, and the Dragon Quest 3 that I played was the mobile port that was originally on the Switch. So yeah, I don't really have a lot of ground to stand on there using HD 2D as a device for remakes. Wholly their own games, I think they look great. I love the way that aesthetic looks. Even Star Ocean, with that straddles the line where it's 3D environments and that 2D flat sprite look, I think that looks pretty decent. So yeah, I'm not totally in agreement, and I think HD 2D and what like Wild Guns Reloaded has done, the Tango Project, I think they both stand on their own. Now, Rush, your question about what direction Chrono Trigger should take, the correct answer is Dragon Quest 11. Chrono Trigger should look and run just like Dragon Quest 11. Now, sumokirby, he's another one that has supported the content. He says RPGs need 3 digits max. For every Final Fantasy game, you could move the decimal one place to the left round and have the exact same gameplay experience. So what he's of course talking about is how Dragon Quest has maximum hit points of characters of just 3 digits. You can just have 999 hit points, or maybe 999 magic points. Whereas Final Fantasy, you got 9999 total max hit points, not counting where you can break the limit on like games like Final Fantasy X and beyond. There's a sort of believability cycle on this, and you got one end of the spectrum where it's Paper Mario, and your late game when you do an attack that does 8 damage, you're like, oh my goodness, that's so crazy. Whereas you've got the Trails series where you are in like the third game of a continuing one, like Trails into Reverie or Trails in the Sky third chapter, where your character is level 150 and your character has 30,000 hit points, or you're in a mech and it has like 100,000 hit points and you're doing 600,000 damage in the mech. Like the scaling on that gets to be like pretty wacky crazy. So I get where he's coming from. It's what Michael Scott says, keep it simple, stupid. It hurts my feelings every time. But there's something to be said about that simplicity, because some of that craziness gets there. My hot take in response to that is how games can have, hey, you have a party member in your party. That party member is level 27 and he has 2,000 hit points. Oh, now there's some sort of development. Now you're fighting that party member. How the hell do they have 20,000 hit points and they hit like a truck on a single attack? The Trail series is notorious for doing this. Final Fantasy 12 did this, and that Vossler battle. That's my hot take. Like, come on, what's the power scaling here? Next up, we've got Switchboard Sam, another great YouTuber, and he's a smaller, more organic channel like myself. Definitely love his content. He says, most JRPGs overstay their welcome and are overly long for the sake of it. I have so many unfinished JRPGs in my gaming backlog because of this. This is a two-way sword. This is a sword that cuts both ways. On one end, you've got something like Persona 5, where the game is like 80 hours long, and I loved every minute of it, from the beginning to the crazy end, and it's just the story and development of it is just fantastic. Metaphor is another great example of that. 85 hours of just fantastic gameplay. The other end of that is Persona 5 Royal, where, oh, here's that 80 hours, let's throw in another 20 to 30 of epilogue type gameplay with an additional content that's only unlockable if you did a certain sort of extra stuff with a character that it really just feels extra in of himself. Switchboard Sam, you definitely make a great case there. That's what makes it. I apologize that I keep referencing this, where it's talking about Clair Obscur, where it's 30 hours. It's nice and trim and just great with that. Old school games like the Final Fantasies 1 through 6 were great about that. Chrono Trigger as well, to where let's jump in the world, let's stick with it, and let's not just go crazy with all the extra content and everything like that. Guys, let me know in the comment section below your JRPG that you played that just felt like it overstayed its welcome. The next one is from TheMonsterReviews, and another really great YouTuber. I've worked with him a couple of times and really appreciated all of his help, and he's also provided a lot of good feedback and everything. This hot take: silent amnesiac protagonist is a lazy storytelling device that's overused. This is something I've also heard from Brandon from Just the Gems, and I can kind of agree with this, and I get why this was used in older games, especially when there's only so much detail that you could do with like pixelated characters and everything, and it's that furthering the role-playing aspect of a role-playing game because you are that character, and so that agency of being that character is done that way. I can think of stuff like Chrono Trigger, Mario, Link, Adol from the Ys series. I feel like I want to sort of get that character development from the protagonist, and that's not really done if the character themselves is silent. I want to get to know the main protagonist along with everybody else, and that sort of is lost. The Final Fantasy series that have the best stories are the ones that don't do this. So Final Fantasy IV, when you're playing as Cecil? Final Fantasy VI with the ensemble cast, 7 and beyond. Whereas like Final Fantasies 1 and 3, obviously they're early type games of those, so it's not going to have that. But even Final Fantasy 2, I mean, it's an off-the-wall story, but it still had better story than 1 or 3, and it doesn't have that sort of silent protagonist. So I get where this is coming from. I understand why that function is being used, but you don't need it anymore for any current modern RPGs. So the next YouTuber, maybe you've heard of them. I know I have. Paige from femtrooper. She's is a fantastic YouTuber whom I've had the fortune to be able to work with on a number of collabs. And I definitely really appreciate all of the help that she's given me. I agree with this. I agree with this hot take wholeheartedly, and it's that JRPGs should always have difficulty modes. Games should be approachable. Video games should be accessible to anybody that wants to play them. Difficulty modes provide that. Full stop. That's it. Now, if you have the nuance on this is something like a Souls-like, to where Dark Souls 1 through 3, Sekiro, Elden Ring, I know that there's a lot of gatekeeping individuals that would hate to have those have difficulty modes. So maybe there's something to be said to where if you are buying a Souls-like, you know what you're getting into. Maybe I get that, but this is JRPGs. JRPGs specifically are known for their fantastic stories. That said, if I want to be able to experience a story and I am being kneecapped by the gameplay, it's not fun, and I feel like I'm being left out. Totally agree with this. And thank you for that, Paige. Next up, we've got Blake, aka the Nerdy Monster, and he says, I hate when maps in big JRPGs, RPGs don't show caves or small inclines you find. Yeah, so if you're on a map and you found a cave, it should appear on your map. Like, there should be a little marker that you found it. This is stuff that, like, Skyrim and whatnot have done, and I apologize, guys. I haven't played Oblivion, Morrowind, or any of the other earlier Elder Scrolls games, but if I remember right, Skyrim did this. Why can't all JRPGs do this as well? If you find it, like, especially, let's add to my additional, I'm going to add a hot take to this. If you have a JRPG, and I know games are notorious for this, where maybe my character's underleveled, or there's an ability or something that I need to be able to explore this cave, let us mark the damn map with some sort of marking or something like that that says, hey, okay, let me revisit this later when I am at a higher level. Expedition 33 did not have this ability, whereas Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild did. Next up, we have Total Level YouTube, or TotalLevelYT, and they say linear RPGs are better than open world ones. And this sort of gets back to one of the previous hot takes that Mad Kaiser had. Mad Kaiser likes the open zone ones, and TotalLevelYT likes the linear ones. Again, it's just whichever one that you like the best, and they like those. I like games from all three, and I've also experienced RPGs that have not done all three of them, the bracket that they're falling under, well at all. So that's a pick your poison sort of thing. I don't really begrudge those that enjoy one type more than the other. The last one that I have here is from ShellySteamDeck, and she says Final Fantasy VIII is the best Final Fantasy. That's a hot take. This is actually my partner Jamie Owl's favorite Final Fantasy. So Final Fantasy VIII, personally for me, is not my favorite. And it is not what I think is the best Final Fantasy. But again, to each their own. I totally get it. I've mentioned this a number of times on my channel. The best Final Fantasy is the favorite Final Fantasy, and that is Final Fantasy VI. I'm probably wrong on it being the best Final Fantasy. I know, like, larger YouTubers like Pro Jared have said Final Fantasy IX is the best. There's others that think Final Fantasy VII is the best because of what it did for JRPGs and making it really mainstream in the beginning of the 5th generation. Pick your poison. I don't begrudge you thinking that Final Fantasy VIII is the best. That's okay. If there's anything that I learned in 2016, though, I have learned that opinions can be wrong. I don't think this is a wrong opinion. I just think it's a different opinion, though. So that is the hot takes from everybody. Huge thanks to everybody for giving the hot takes. And anybody who's got their YouTube channels, I'm going to have just them linked in the description below. Really appreciate it. But we need a winner. We need a winner on this. And let's pick that winner here. And that is right. We do have that Blake, the nerdy monster, is the winner. So congratulations, Blake, for winning this contest. What was won? What was the prize? I was cagey about this on purpose because the prize, I didn't want to bury the lead. I didn't want to get a ton of crazy responses and also not any responses. The prize that Blake won is a video game of his choice. It has to be a current game. Sorry, Blake, I can't get you a Little Samson. It can't be a collector's edition. I'm sorry, I can't get you the big old box for like Halo Reach. I can't get you that statue that they had. But whatever currently out modern video game, either physical or digital, it's yours. So hopefully you enjoy that. And thank you again, guys, for not only watching, but also for getting me to 1,000 subscribers. I really appreciate it. And tons of ideas I've got for more future videos. I don't do streaming. I barely do streaming video games. I like this evergreen content where you get my viewpoint, and more importantly, I get your viewpoint, and we can have a discussion in the comments section below. So make sure to do that on any of these hot takes. Something that caught your eye or ear, let's talk about it in the comments section below, just like I reacted to these. A huge thank you to everybody that joined as well as you, and we hope that you have a fantastic day.